Hello and welcome to another macro video. I wonder what you think the best macro is. Well, I'm going to give you my view. I hope that's okay. I would say it's the best macro bar none. But anyway, you can see what you think. The point about it is that it offers huge potential gains, but the problem is they are not realized, and I want to show you why. We did a survey in the spring, which you may well have taken part in. If so, thank you very much. Asking what your favorite macros are. And here are the results. The top 10 macros we got here. And different types of macros there. What I've then done is to split them up into different types of macros so you can see what sort of things come up. So there are a whole series of analysis macros, well, 4 of them there in the top 10, and I think you'd say those were conceptually clear. In other words, each macro creates a list, a report of some factors within the document, so that you can see about the inconsistencies that there are in the document before you start. And I think you'd say they're easy to use. You just click in the document and run the macro, and up comes the report in due time. Then we got a couple of information fetching macros. Again, pretty conceptually clear. You click in a word or a phrase and you run the macro and you get the information. The information comes up quickly, and again I would say it's easy to use. They are easy to use. There are some on the list which are changes that you make while you're editing, changing the case of the next word and so on, changing numbers to text and adding highlights. So again, fairly conceptually clear, making instantaneous changes, and they're easy to use. Now that actually is only 9 of the 10. We've got the odd one out, and that is Fredit, and actually this is my favorite macro. The trouble with it is it's not conceptually obvious what it is for and what it does. It does have a learning curve, and yet I still say that it is the best macro ever. Okay, let's give you a bit of background to my view. It was the first ever macro I used back in 2005 when I started freelance editing. But the point was that I knew before I started editing, freelance editing, that I needed this kind of macro. And I'd already used that sort of thing for 18 years before I went freelance, but on a non-PC system. And the principle of Fredit is what we call scripted global find and replace. So actually, today we can say it's a 37-year-old concept. So how was it born? Well, back in '87, I started self-publishing a monthly magazine for Acorn Computers in the UK, and for DTP I was using an Apple Mac Plus and a LaserWriter, and it was pretty amazing in those days. '87, DTP like you've never seen before. Very impressive. But I wanted to transfer the text from Apple to the Acorn computers, and so it had to go from all the nice posh Apple stuff to the simple basic Acorn text. So the Apple had dashes, ligatures, bullets, and those had to be changed over. So I used a series of global find and replaces. So I changed the dashes to hyphens, the ligatures to the individual characters, and bullets to stars. And I did that every single month. And so I made myself a list on paper of the find and replaces I needed to do, so I didn't forget any of them. And suddenly I thought, well, hang on, surely a computer program could do this. Why am I doing it one by one myself? And there was born the Fredit principle. So scripted find and replace editing has been used for 37 years. Okay, so in 2007, when that magazine was dying, I went freelance and started to use Microsoft Word for the first time ever. And so I looked around to try and find the global find and replace tool, but I didn't find anything. And so I got a friend who knew how to program in Microsoft VBA to write a program which we call pre-edit, and that was text only, so it was a precursor to Fredit. And I started learning to program in VBA myself, so that eventually I could develop all that we've got available today. Okay, so I'm still saying that this is the best ever macro, and for me it's the absolute #1 time saver. But on the list, why is it not #1? And the problem is that Fredit involves new concepts and techniques, and it doesn't come naturally, I don't think anyway. So it's, if you like, it's a 37-year-old new idea. It's new to most people, most editors. So we need training. We need training. We absolutely need training to know how to get the potential that is available in this macro, this one single macro. So please talk to your professional body and see if they can get going on some training for you. Fortunately, Jennifer Yankopoulos in the States saw the potential and started doing macro training 5 years ago. And so we've done together, we've done training sessions in 8 countries, maybe thereabouts. And the EFA in the States offers macro training courses, repeated courses through the year, and it's called Macros from A to Z, and it offers 6 weekly sessions to get you going with macros generally, and it includes Fredit. But there is some free training available for Fredit. There's a self-training material for Fredit, and it's produced by Jennifer Yankopoulos, Fredit from Square One, and it's available to download from my website. Okay, so where is Fredit after almost 20 years in action? If someone uses a tool every day, and certainly someone who likes improving efficiency like me, what happens? I think of improvements, and so over that time it has increased and increased and increased. So Fredit itself has had more and more features added to it, so that we've ended up with a 17-page manual on how to use Fredit. We've got 22 videos on YouTube showing you how to use Fredit, starting from beginner stuff right the way through to advanced. And I looked at the macro menu today, and I discovered that there are 22 other Fredit related macros. In other words, how to use Fredit more effectively and how to combine it with other macros. So for example, if you've done the hyphenationalize, then you can get your changes that you want for your document into Fredit, into your Fredit list, by using a macro, and then there's a similar one for proper nounalize. It all sounds a bit complicated, but fear not. Even if you use Fredit simply, you will get speed gains. If you manage to use it more, then you will get more speed gains. The more you learn, the more you will gain. So I still maintain that it is the best macro ever. So invest some time, you won't regret it. And again, please talk to your professional bodies and see if they can get things going on the training front. So, happy macroing. Thanks for watching. Bye now.